Your seat. Just take the AC.
I feel like I just saw you last night.
Yeah. Michael and Adam are coming. So.
Oh, wow. Wonderful. Yeah, I can't believe it either.
Really?
Okay, we're going to start. This is a nigun from that. I never sing it, but I just found it on a recent shir we had a few years ago. La 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 la. Bam bam ba da 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 la 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 la. Ay da la 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 la. Ay da da. Ay da da. Join me, Beautiful. Yisher koach, everyone. Yisher koach, people, whoever is here, Yisher koach. I can't believe anyone's here. I can't believe anyone's here. That's the truth. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol nהיה b'dvaro. I don't know if I ever appreciated the warmth of my hands like I did right now in this cup of tea. Anyway, welcome everyone. It's been such a big schus to be learning together for the last kimat month now on Wednesday nights, and we'll keep on going strong for Bezrat Hashem at least another, I believe, 6 weeks. Yeah, Bezrat Hashem, more or less 5 or 6 weeks. I want to dedicate the shir first off the refuah Shlomo, my friend Stewie's father-in-law, Shlomo Yosef ben Sarah. I also want to do the shir Leilui Nishmas Shira Rachma Bas Alter Nassim Natan. Our dear friend Shira Prensky, whose yahrzeit was today, the 7th yahrzeit. She was a former Talmidah of this Beit Midrash. And also for the Leilui Nishama of Michal Moshe Ze'ev ben Natan Yehudit, and for the refuah Shlomo of Natan Daniel ben Malka, and Kol Cholei Yisrael, Bezrat Hashem, Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf. But to be absolutely honest and very real from the get-go, any shir about Parshat Yitro overwhelms the daylights out of me. The Shabbos of Kabbalah Satorah, to choose one thing to focus on is impossible. Very, very, very difficult. There's so many different things to speak about. And we had a shir last night, we had a shir on Monday night. There's so much Torah to learn about Yitro, about why his name, why he is the one who is the Shabbos of Kabbalah Satorah is named after him. So we're just going to try tonight, Bezrat Hashem, to hopefully find one more, not just like a little pebble, but one more cornerstone of our hearts, the cornerstone of our hearts, to flip over anything that might be left of a heart of stone, to get to the heart of flesh, to the Leiv Basar. So Reb Shlomo is going to be doing tonight with a mind-boggling, mind-blowing teaching of the Mea Shilach, which we've been focusing on the Ishbitzer for the last while. And before we go there, so everyone knows that sometimes when I want to sound that I'm very spiritual, or I want to sound, not even to others, but to myself, that I'm seeking truth, I end up doing something that ends up being very foolish, very foolish. What do I end up doing? I end up running from Rebbe to Rebbe to tell them how sick I am and how much I need help. I end up going from friend to friend thinking that if I tell them how ill I am, then I might find an answer. I keep on running from place to place to place to place. That's a person that detects that there's something wrong with him. He's not coming from a bad place. He detects that there's something lacking. The other type of person, he says, forget, I'm not even gonna get into the game of searching. I'll just get more confused. Leave me alone. I'll leave you alone. We're done with everything. You know, for us to understand the depth of the following teaching, we have to realize that Yitro went from idol to idol. Doing what? It's hard to say this, but what was he searching for? He was searching for Emes. He was searching for the truth. But for us, it's that we hear that Yitro was the biggest Oved Avodah Zarah, so we wipe out anything that has to do with Yitro until he becomes a Yid, right? That means that until he joined Am Yisrael, he was just into idols and statues. There's nothing you could learn about Yitro until he becomes a Jew, and then the second he becomes a Jew, he even starts teaching Moshe Rabbeinu how to do things better. But Yitro, for someone, Yitro is much bigger than that. Yitro is probably one of the most confusing characters in the Torah. Was he a Gevalt? If so, how long was he a Gevalt for? Did Moshe Rabbeinu want him to leave? Did he want him to stay? Did Yitro want to leave? Did Yitro want to stay? Many, many questions come up with dealing with the character. You know one of the great granddaughters of Yitro was? Does anyone know in the Sefer Shoftim? Yael. One of the, whatever, it's not for now, but Yitro is a very, very, very interesting person. And there's a lot to learn about, just about his name, just about who he is. But for our shir tonight, Reb Shlomo's, this is like pulling the big guns out. Not so much that it's hard, but that it's very, very strong and deep. And I believe so passionately in the Torah we're going to be learning right now, and we've entitled it "The Fool's Eventual Enlightenment." Now, for those that are going to be learning with the Sefer afterwards, text, it's very important to see the text inside. If we had enough time, we would do both. The text is based from the Mea Shilach, and the second part, the Dibur HaMatchil Vayishma, the third Torah on the word Vayishma Yitro. So, having said all that beautiful introduction, again, Yeshar Koach to everyone for schlepping out tonight. It's absolutely freezing outside. Even for New Yorkers, I'm sure you could say it's cold outside, no? Even from Philadelphia, it's cold. Usually we're not allowed to say that. We're not allowed to kvetch about it being cold here, but it actually is. Also, it's my wife's birthday today. It's very special, and I met her actually right. She came to shir, and she was sitting right there, and I was sitting right here, and I made sure to avoid all eye contact while I was teaching. That's where I met her, right here, exactly 8 years ago. Mamash, like around this time also. So this should be in her schut and for everything. Should be for her kavod. Yeah. Okay. The Ishbitzer says that there are two types of evil in the world. Both are wrong. One evil is when you believe in everything. Today I believe in this yogi, tomorrow in the next one, then back to the other one. That's bad. But there's another evil when I don't believe in anything, when everything is a joke to me. This is the story of both Yitro and Amalek. And in a certain deep way, both are wrong. Remember, we ended off last Shabbos with Amalek. It's not stam that we start off this Shabbos with Yitro. The Midrash on the beginning of Yitro addresses these two characters immediately. You could already see Amalek is who? Asher karcha baderech. Everything gets cold. Everything is shtuyot. Yitro, one day this is my Rebbe, one day that's my Rebbe, one day that's my Rebbe. Here Shlomo says like this: Amalek doesn't believe in anything. Do you know to what extent he doesn't believe in anything? He's told that God took the Jews out of Egypt, which was the greatest miracle in the world. But to him, it's a joke. Then he hears of the crossing of the Red Sea, which is the most unbelievable thing in the world which has ever happened. And it doesn't turn him on either because everything is still a joke to him. Now, Reb Shlomo had said in another teaching, he said, if you wanted to define two types of people in the world, and I always try to stay away from that because one time I stood that in the shir, and someone came up to me and said, there are two types of people in the world. Those who classify the world to two types of people and those that don't. I have to be careful with what we're saying over here, but for the sake of the Midrash, of the Torah that we're talking about, Reb Shlomo would always say that there is a type of person in the world, he might not be holy, he might not be smart, he might not be wise, but what happens in the world affects him. That what goes on in the world actually has direct implications to his state of mind, to his heart, and to his direction. Then there are those, they've witnessed the greatest miracles, they've witnessed the greatest atrocities. But in the morning, shtayim sukar echad kafeh, meaning in the morning, the whole world could collapse. I need my coffee in the morning, and what else? Right? Doesn't matter. They're not moved. They're not changed at all. Not good and not bad. You can do everything to them, and they don't change. So another teaching, Reb Shlomo said, okay, so that's what Yitro heard. There are two types of people. There are people that really change, like Bnei Yisrael, who a second before they were slaves, and then the next day they're jumping into the water. Then he hears of people like Amalek, that Amalek hears about all these great accomplishments and things and miracles that are taking place in the world. There's a lo sela and klum, it doesn't do anything to them. And Yitro says, I have to make a choice. Who do I want to be part of? I want to be part of people that are affected by what's going on in the world. I want to be part of a nation that does change. I don't want to be part of people that sound exactly the same. And we all have those Zaidi figures in the shuls that we grew up in that, we can go to Israel for the year, we come back a little bit on fire, they look at us and say, 2 months and it's done, right? Those kind of Amalek darts, Reb Shlomo used to call them, shooting Amalek darts at you, saying, how long, I'd like to see how long this is going to last till your balloon's up there, it's beautiful, but I have the dart, right? Then you have people, friends of usually it's your parents' friends, those are the hardest people in the world to be okay with what you're going through and transforming. You know what I'm talking about, obviously. Then you have your parents' friends, all you need is one friend of your parent who, they see you come back to shul during your Shana Aleph break, you're going back for Pesach or whatever, and before you went to Eretz Yisrael, you could care less if you were reading a Siddur or the Times. But now you look at the words Baruch Ata Hashem. You spent a year learning Torah in Yerushalayim. The words Baruch Ata Hashem mean something to you. And then you have one of your parents' friends that notices and says, wow, you didn't waste your time. You took time to get touched. All you need is one person to see that in you, to know, sometimes you don't even have that. That's why there's a crazy teaching Reb Shlomo teaches in Reb Nachman,
we always trying to figure out who a malik is. A malik is the person that puts doubt in your own self-growth. So Shlomo said a malik is usually those people that are closest to you, because that's who has the most effect on you. I think he said even if your family could be a malik, your close friends, I know you better, whatever. From attack, it'll be done in a few minutes. And Yitro didn't care. Yitro didn't care. He didn't, not to say he didn't care now, this is the point. It's not that now he shows up, he gets into Yiddishkeit, and suddenly he doesn't care what anyone thinks about him. It's that even before he became a Yid, he wasn't stuck on any one of the Zara that he was in. He Pasha didn't care. People thought about him in a good way. So he went from statue to statue, from idol to idol, from Avodah Zarah to Avodah Zarah, because he didn't get caught in what people would think, oh, now he's going through this. And what's incredible is that if we stop for a second and ask ourselves, how many things don't we take on, or how many people don't we open our hearts to, because I can't afford to now say I have a new thing. I want to be taken seriously in this way. I can't afford to now say, oh, now this is my next thing that I'm doing. Everyone always told me, consistency, consistency, consistency. That's what shows the seriousness of a person. But there's so many people that in the name of consistency are depriving themselves from that which Hashem is giving them right now. I'm good, I'm fine. So Reb Shlomo said in a different teaching, that's why Yitro's name comes from the word yeter, which means no. There's always yoter, there's always more. Yitro knew this. Now, we're in the fourth paragraph. There's a passage that says, let's takeh upeti ya'arim. This is the midrash on this parasha. Let's takeh means the one who makes fun of everything. Let's from the word leitzan, right? The one who makes fun of everything, you got to get rid of him. Takeh. Upeti, the one who believes in everything, ya'arim. You got to make him clever. Again, a leitzan that makes a joke out of the world, he's done. That you got to wipe out. They make fun of everything. Petty, someone who's kind of like naive and he just goes and he keeps on believing everything else. Him you work on. Him you put your kochot there. Obviously, he's talking about these two attributes that are inside of us. Inside of us, that place of us that's so cynical, which is the klala of our generation, cynicism and sarcasm. It's killed generations. It's amazing how you can go to a shul, you can give the most incredible drasha and build something up so beautifully. But do you know when you reach the heart of the audience? When you make a sarcastic joke about marriage. Then everyone gives the giggle. Then they kind of start listening. Somehow our attraction to cynicism is mamish like a, if you don't, it's a harag bal yava. You have to be a cynic. One time we were talking about this for a while, and someone came up to me and he said, I'm not cynical, I'm just married. Oh, God. Should I laugh to make you feel good, or should I cry? You choose, Anyway. Third line in this fourth paragraph. Amalek is the one who makes fun of everything. To him, everything is a joke. Him, you have to fight. But upeti ya'arim, and the fool who believes everything, you have to make him clever. This is Yitro. Yitro believed in everything. He went through everything. But in the end, something happened. He became so clever, and Mamash believed in God. He really did. But there's a whole sugya in Chazal about how could it be that Yidden never said the words Baruch Hashem? Who are the two people in the Torah that say Baruch Hashem? Who's the first person that says it? Anyone know? Before that? Malkitzedek, Melech Shalem. Otzi lechem bayayin, v'hu kohen lekel alyon. What does he say? He bums the words Baruch Hashem. And now we have Yitro. There's a whole sugya about why Dafka, those people are the ones that say Baruch Hashem, but us Yidden never got to a place saying Baruch Hashem. He believed in God. So, By the way, there's going to be a lot of this tonight where we could get sidetracked so easily because, again, this is the Parshat Aseret Dibrot. There's so much going on, so I'm sorry for the unintentional ADHD vibe that I might be presenting tonight. It's that and the cold together. So the Ishbitzer says that the secret of life is to know what is wrong with me. Doesn't sound so brustive, right? If it's over here, so Reb Nachman says that the secret of life is to know what is right with me. Right? Probably. The Nekudos Tovos. Ishbitz is saying, what are you kidding? You're here for a tikkun. Let's get real. If you weren't here, if nothing was wrong with you, it's very simple. You know what would happen? You would not exist. Our metzius in this world is because we're here to fix something. So embrace that. Don't fight that. If you fight that, you're ignoring your existence. You and I are here for one reason, only because there is something to fix. If nothing, he says it better than I could ever. If nothing is wrong with me, I wouldn't be born. I'm here to fix something. Until I'm completely aware of what's wrong with me, I'm wasting my time. It's possible to know what's wrong with me and still not do it, but this is already okay. Okay, so he's saying over here, that's already a maila. That I have detected what's not adding up, but I just don't have the koach yet to address it. That's already a high level. If I'm sick, I'll go to the doctor and I'll get my medicine. If I know, God forbid, that my teeth are the problem, I'm already on the way to the dentist. Sometimes when you have a heart attack, your heart is not what hurts you, your kishkas hurt you. You have to know where the sickness is. So the thing is like this. A person who believes everything is so desperate to find out what's wrong with him. He goes from person to person thinking perhaps this one can fix him. Maybe this one can fix him. But eventually this type of person, he'll be okay because he'll find a way of fixing himself. At the end, he will know there is one God. What about the person who thinks that everything is a joke? What will happen when you'll show him what's actually wrong with him? He'll laugh in your face. The more you show him, the more he'll laugh. Did you ever notice how people laugh when you really reach their heart of hearts? They have to laugh it off because if it'll enter their hearts, they wouldn't know what to do with themselves. They're so afraid, so they put up the biggest wall in the world. So this is very interesting. I'm sure this has happened to you in your life. Did you ever pour out your heart and soul to someone? Or did you ever have a moment where things were really, really real? Something in the room, something in the shul, something at a concert you were at, something at a shira you were at, where you yourself felt mamish transformed. And a person next to you can't stop laughing. And you start to wonder, am I losing my mind? What I experienced right now was the most serious, real thing that I ever went through. How could the person, were we in the same room right now? Did we both hear the same words? Did we taste the same thing? What's going on over here? So Shlomo says, and obviously the modern psychology has definitely picked up on this by now. But that laugh is so dangerous. But that laugh, if you have good ears, that laugh is such a cry for help. I have a friend that whenever this friend hears about someone that unfortunately has the machala, the illness, shelo neda, this person starts cracking up. They know and I know, we all know, where is it coming from? It's coming from there's a machit. If this person's heart is so big, it's so beautiful, that if they really would allow itself to be touched by all the bad things that actually happen, they'd be a shmata all day long. So sometimes those laughs, don't get fooled. Sometimes the laughs are desperate cries for, can you hear what I wish I could express if I was in tune with myself and I felt safe, which is such an important word, which really I would love one day to just to learn with all the chevra, like for weeks, about what does it mean to feel safe in Yiddishkeit? What does it mean to feel safe in friendships, in relationships? What does it mean to feel safe during explorations of who we are? How do you let yourself loose while feeling safe? It's a very, very big inyan. But most people that brush up, they have that laugh, which kind of brushes the whole thing off. What are they really saying? I just don't feel safe to let myself be touched. So I'd rather not deal with any of it. Not deal with any of it. I remember one time, I'll never forget this. I was in someone's sukkah. It was the first night of Sukkot, and the person asked me to say a Torah. So I said, famous word about, obviously everyone knows that Sukkah is one of the only mitzvahs that when all of you is in it, right? All of you is in the Sukkah. Your whole body, your whole existence. What are the other ones? Everyone knows there's mikvah, it's Israel. So this, I said, but the truth is that the Baal Shem Tov says it shouldn't. Just because this happens on Sukkot, it shouldn't be limited to Sukkot. Because the Baal Shem Tov says when Noach is told, Bo ata v'chol beitcha el ateva, which means you and your whole family come into the teva, into the ark, everyone knows that the word teva in Hebrew doesn't just mean ark, it means the word, which means that when you're davening, bring yourself and all of you, your whole house, meaning everything that you feel close to, Bo'ata v'chol beitcha el ateva, go into each word you say. And after I learned that Torah for the first time, I remember saying each word, and it only happened one time, because more than that, I'd actually be real. I said every word once, and I went in, and I said Baruch, and then I went like this. I went forward. Ata, mikvah, toivel. Hashem, tovel in that word. Every word was a mikvah. Every word was sukkahs, right? And I was so, my eyes were closed while I was saying it. And the Baal Sukkah, in front of his children, basically was like, I was like, are you kidding? He's cracking. This guy is a very serious guy. Also, it was very weird. He was cracking up. And then throughout the year afterwards, whenever he'd see me, he's like, let's jump into the word, and then go to Moshav Modi'in and, jump around some more. So, oh my God. Wow. Oy, let me do tshuva. When those things happen, don't think for a second. Don't ever say, let them do tshuva. Never. That's just an opportunity for you to do tshuva, right? So anyway, to get back to what this is, I believe that, like he says over here, they're so afraid. So they put up the biggest wall in the world. Why a person like that afraid? What is he afraid of? To realize that perhaps, maybe, other than being Yotze, and said that he davened 3 times a day in the minyan, he never, ever, ever entered into the teva. In his life. He never entered into a word. So for him to deal with the Torah like that, what does he have to do? See, I can't say that we. I Baruch Hashem, and beginning, the more my children humble the daylights out of me, really, but we realize at least, like, I have no idea how to really daven, right? But when you think that you know, and someone says to you, there's a whole other world here, the laughter mechitza plays a very big role in our lives. Very big role. So again, chas v'shalom, I shouldn't say about a yid that they're Amalek, but the energy is very much that. Now let's go back inside. Each of us has a little bit of this non-believing, this making a joke of things. Sometimes someone comes up to us and tells us the most real and true words, but it's too awesome to be true. So we have to laugh. I don't know if you ever experienced this. Did you ever have a friend that came up to you and said to you, I want you to know I love you so much? Can you imagine? Try that tomorrow on someone. Yeah, you want homework? We could go deeper and say, I want everyone tonight. The prerequisite for continuing to sitting here right now your shusta, of course, the Baalei Abayit and the Baalei Yeshiva, is that you must go home and look in the mirror and say, and with mamish the straightest words, I want you to know how much I love you, and try not to crack up. And imagine people are looking at you or not, doesn't matter. But try it on somebody, right? We're scared they'll call the cops, but imagine, like, you know what I mean? You have to find, don't stop trying on somebody that you don't feel like that, but someone that you actually feel like that. I have a friend, he needs a refuah shlema, my friend Mordechai. He's the first person that ever told me, mamish, how much he loves me, and I didn't laugh. He was the first person, because it was this moment of Rahmanis that I felt like I am so humbled and in awe of someone being so real right now, you know? And that's a friendship of Netzach. When you establish that, you have it forever. Yeah.
I think there's a different type of laughter sometimes. There's a laughter that is not because of cynicism. There's a laughter that is because of, like, it's joy. It's so big that you laugh, you know? But Shlomo sometimes says also that laughter is like endless.
Azim al Yitzchok, yeah. We'll start cracking up when Mashiach actually comes, because we won't be able to believe it.
I mean, sometimes someone tells you that he loves you, and I'm like, wow. You know, it's not the same. It's not a one.
No. But what we're referring here to is, I love you so much. You're such a hippie. You know, like that kind of, that absolutely, that kind of energy.
You know who does it? Amuna.
What's that?
Amuna Witt. She
Yeah.
says it all the time.
Yeah.
She's really good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, one time I called her. I remember I was living in Los Angeles, and she gave me like one of my first transcripts. I was 16 years old, and or 17, and I called her on a Motzei Shabbos from here. The number was 248620 before they added the extra 6. That's how long ago it was. I remember, and I said to her, I thank you so much, and she said. Oh, love you, like that, right? Love you. And because we were connecting through the Torah of Reb Shlomo, I really believed her. I mean, I still believe her, but I'm saying anyone else that would say that, probably wouldn't believe her. But she has that too. Absolutely. Absolutely. My wife just noticed the other day on the phone, there's one guy on my block that whenever he ends the conversation, and it could be like even after a rough conversation, he's like, okay, brother, love you. And she heard it, and I realized, she said to me, does he always say that? And I realized, wow, I didn't even realize that there's someone in my neighborhood that actually ends up saying, I love you all the time. It was amazing. Okay, let's go back inside. We're in the second paragraph over here, the third line. This laughing it off is a malek, and needs to be wiped out. Let's takeh, God forbid. Again, if you believe what everybody tells you, it's also bad. But it's not so bad because eventually you will get there. So now Reb Shlomo says like this: we all live in a certain fear, all of us, deep down in the depth of our neshamas. We all know there's something wrong with us. We're afraid that someone might really discover what's wrong with us. I'm afraid to tell anybody. Who should I tell? Rabbi Elimelech says a good friend is somebody who you can tell what's really wrong with you, and they still love you the most, and even more so. But maybe we're afraid to find out if we have such a friend. So we want to hide it all the time. And I'm trying to understand here if he means maybe we're scared that if we search for this type of friend, we'll realize it doesn't exist, or maybe we're scared to actually realize that it does exist, that kind of friendship. It's there in potential, and what have I been doing with this friendship for so long?
We won't believe that they really mean it.
Right. Why? Why not? It's too awesome? Yeah, it's just too mind-blowing. Yeah. Now imagine If I have something wrong with me and I tell everybody about it, it's also wrong. That means I'm also not relating to what is really wrong with me. You see, if I make a joke out of it, it's wrong. And if I publicize it, it's also wrong. Meaning someone could say, like we opened the shir tonight, in the name of holiness, he wants everybody to know how much his lust for kavod is so big. His lust for honor is so big. But you know what? Sometimes you realize the more a person speaks like that, betzibur, in public, the more he has gaiva issues, he has pride issues, you know. His issues aren't just that he has a kavod issue. He has other issues too, because he needs everybody to know how much he's working on himself. Real Baalei Anava, real humble people, don't spend time making sure that everyone knows how low they feel about themselves. Real Baalei, it's not even part of the function. It's not part of the function. Real Baalei Anava don't even open their mouths in this direction. It's a private thing they go through with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Yitro went to every Rebbe in the world and said, please fix my soul. This is also bad. But Yitro can be fixed. Now, when Yitro comes to Moshe Rabbeinu should say to Yitro, since you came here to me to fix your soul, let me tell you everything which is wrong with you. But you see what it is? Someone who is really fixing your soul doesn't talk like that. This is very, very important. This is Reb Shlomo's Torah right now, okay? Usually we think that someone that's going to fix my soul will tell me what's wrong with me. So he says here, Yitro finally found a Rebbe, his son-in-law. So what would you think the response would be from Moshe to Yitro? Okay, brother, here's where you really are off. You have this lust for idols. What's wrong with you, right? Or whatever it is. But what does he do? Look what Reb Shlomo says. Moshe Rabbeinu starts telling him the story of Am Yisrael. Remember, it says in Vayisapar, he tells him in the first few psukim, it says he told him everything that happened. My dear father-in-law, if you really want me to fix your soul, let me tell you a story about how God took us out of Egypt. Isn't that just the most mind-blowing thing? This is Moshe Rabbeinu's kiruv. This is Moshe Rabbeinu's way of reaching an neshama. This is, Reb Shlomo, I've told you this so many times. There was a very, very, very wealthy philanthropist, still alive today. Reb Shlomo had done his wedding, maybe one of his weddings, not sure. I think one of his weddings. And after Reb Shlomo died, he was approached to help different Karabach-related institutions, families, whatever. And he was so against helping, even though everyone knew you had such a kesher to him. So it's someone that almost everyone in this room actually knows, like Mamash, one of the top guys. So he said, I can't be affiliated with anything. It's such anger. He said, well, what's the deal? We thought you were close to him. He said, you don't understand. I asked him questions about what I need to fix, what's wrong with me, and he never told me what to do. So after I heard that story, a few weeks later, I found this interview that our dear friends, the Garners from Staten Island, did with Reb Shlomo. We published it on the 20th yard site, where he says, Reb Shlomo says, I want you to know, I'm very, very big on not telling people what to do. It's like, wow. Let's see what he says here. Why is he so big on not telling people what to do? He said, because I believe that each person in their neshamas, they know exactly what to do in this world. But I want them to own their decisions. I want to connect them. All I'm trying to do is to help connect them to what they already know, which just might be covered a little bit. He said most kids ended up running away from home, running to me and opening their hearts to me because they came from a world where everyone told them exactly what to do and what not to do. They're looking for something much bigger. They're looking for a world where people believe in them. What does it mean to believe in someone? Not just, I believe you're great. I believe that you can figure out what your tikkun is on your own. I just have to steer you a little bit and help you get some focus and direction. So here, Reb Shlomo says, how did Moshe Rabbeinu steer Yitro even more to the right direction of fixing his own neshama? By telling him the story of Am Yisrael. And again, we're completely going, we're not going off track, but we're going exactly where we need to go to right now. What does that mean? What does it mean that I'm gonna help you fix your neshama by telling you a story? Did it ever happen to you that you come to someone, you pour out your heart and soul to them, and they don't address anything that you're saying right away? But what happens? They tell you some kind of a story at that moment, and in the beginning you're really agitated because you can't believe they're not addressing your heart. But you realize that while they're telling you this story, they're going right there to the heart of your hearts. I'll share with you, it happened to me one time. I shared it with you before, but it's an amazing story to remember. One time I came to Moshe Weinberger in Woodmere. It was in ER, I remember the day. It was the morning of Yom HaAtzmaut. And I just landed. I always, in those days, my brother was living in Silver Spring. I went right from the airport to the shul. It's early in the morning. And I sat down and I had a lot in my heart. This is before I was married. I thought I had a lot in my heart. I just had a lot of whatever, like every confused bachelor goes through, and a lot going on. And I'm pouring it all out on the table for him. Telling him, like, I'm starting to sense how dark I feel inside, and I can't see a way out of here. And I see that he's writing down something on a piece of paper. And I'm getting so agitated. I never really told him this. So if you see him, don't tell him the story. I'll tell him one day. As I'm saying it, I realize he doesn't even know this. But I was inside of me, like the Kohen in me was like feeling very like what is this? This is crazy. I'm just, I'm so bare. I finished pouring out the kishkas, and he hands me that piece of paper. And he says, do you mind davening for my daughter? She needs a shidduch. And this is her name. I look at the name, and he looks at me, he says to me, there's nothing as heilig as the davening of a tzibruch and a yid. There's nothing as holy as the davening, as the praying of a broken Jew. And I realized he gave me my life at that moment. Because what I was really trying to tell him was that in the state that I'm in, I don't feel that I can do anything. That's what I was, he basically explained to me what I was trying to tell him. I said, in this state, I can't do anything. I feel chained, I can't do anything. And he comes and says to me that. But here, it's not exactly what we just saw over here, but here is that, you think, oh, finally his heart is open to hearing Musar. He's done with idols, now he's into God. But he knows he has a long way to go. Now's the time. Like Reb Shlomo says, a lot of people come with big hearts, open hearts from India, and they get a little bit turned on to the Yiddishkeit, and they go to a yeshiva, not obviously this yeshiva, because they go to a place and they're made into Lakshman Kugel by the end of the first day. Because they think, oh, now they're open enough to hear what's wrong with them. Let's tell them what's been wrong with them and all the bad things they've seen and how it's metamed, how it's impurified their eyes. Let's connect. And they take such big open hearts and they mamish minimize it to being closed and shut again. But here, Moshe Rabbeinu has the ultimate chance to rebuke the biggest Oved Avodah Zarah in the world. And what does he say to him? Oh, come, let me tell you about the people you just joined. Let me tell you about everything we've been through. This is Moshe Rabbeinu's way of bringing in that person who, yes, he went from purse to idol. Eventually he gets there. Eventually he does find it. Let's continue. I want you to know something very deep. Second to bottom paragraph. Every Thursday night, the Holy Vorker would learn the portion of the week with the Midrash. One Thursday night in walks a little Yidla, and suddenly the Yidla faints. The Vorker goes up to the Yidla, he whispers something into his ear, and he gets up again. So all the Yidden there asked this Yidla that fainted, first of all, why did you faint? And second of all, what did the Vorker tell you? He says, I'll tell you. I'm an ordinary sinner, man. I walked in here and I heard the Vorker learning. But what I was hearing was that he's telling me everything I did wrong. So I thought that everybody else heard what he said too. I was so ashamed in public. But then the Vorker came up to me and says, brother, you're the only one who knew what I meant. Nobody else knew. So I got up. You see, the ishbit, and this is, look at this last paragraph. This is the meat. This is the shawarma. Or the, this is, sorry, Judy, this is the vegan, this is the salmon of all salmons. Or the tofu.
Seitan.
Huh?
Yeah, Seitan.
Seitan? That's a freaky word,
I know.
Seitan. You see, you see the Ishbitzer is saying that this Shabbos of Matan Torah, this Shabbos of Mount Sinai, is the Shabbos of fixing the neshama. That part of us which thinks that everything is a joke is bad. That part of us which tells everybody what's wrong with me is also bad. It has to be very holy. It has to be a secret between you and God. The person who is really fixing it has to be so holy, it also has to be a secret. He doesn't even say anything. Now you could look at the text of the Parsha and say, nah, Moshe Rabbeinu must have told him something. He must have, in between the lines, for the sake of, like, I don't want him to be mashpia, to be a bad hashpa on the rest of the Yidden, like many kids today. I mean, I'm sure you saw this also, a startling speech by this very special person named Shlomo Rechnitz. Did anyone see this? A speech that he gave in Lakewood? Oh my God. I have no words. I saw it today, this afternoon. I'm sure many people, in the name of holiness, don't let certain Jews into their midst. Why? We're scared there's going to be a bad hashpah on my children. You know when you're scared that someone will be a bad hashpah on your children? When you're scared there'll be a bad hashpah on you too. Parshat. Why would Moshe Rabbeinu let you, besides being a decent son-in-law, why would Moshe Rabbeinu let Yitro at his Shabbos table? How could it be? Let him. He just became a ger. Okay, take time. Let him take time till he rids himself of all the schmutz, rids himself of everything. See, Moshe Rabbeinu, he's the tzaddik. He knows that by just telling someone a story about what he just joined, what he's part of, the person will find exactly what their tikkun of their neshama really is. And perhaps this could also be the reason why, after this whole episode, according to some of Farshim, what does Yitro then decide to do? I'm out. Why? I feel like it's fixed. My soul's fixed. What more could there be now? Right? So anyway, Reb Shlomo, this is the Shabbos to really have a, the prerequisite of receiving the Torah is asking yourself, finding that place of cynicism, if chas v'sholom, bless you, if chas v'sholom it still exists inside your neshama, finding that one doubt of that laughter which brushes off anything real, finding that one place that for some reason refuses to believe that eventually you'll get there. That one place. And Hashem should have such rahmanis on us because we're in such dire need of one tzaddik to just tell us a good story and figure it all out. Just one good story. But until that happens, Reb Shlomo left us with a lot of really, 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 not just cool stories, but kind of like Moshe telling Yitro kind of stories, where it's just amazing how so many of us, through a story, have figured out exactly where we're supposed to be heading. So I know that when you want to impress someone with Yiddishkeit and your Talmud Torah, you'll feel the need to show them how much you learned in Baba Basra. I'm not knocking it, chas v'shalom, la'efech. giving myself Musa. I should learn Shas and Posuk inside out every day. However, it is possible. The reason with Siyas is a reality that it could be that that person is waiting for you to tell him the most simple Reb Nachman story you ever heard in your life. And somehow that could be what truly makes a person feeling there's one person in the world that knows what I need to hear. And that's this Shabbos. That's why we said last night that during the week of Parshat Yitro, there's two words that some tzaddikim say throughout the whole week, over and over, like a mantra. During Parshat Yitro, what do you think those two words would be? Based on the Parsha, what two words would you say over and over again to make yourself feel connected to what's going on in our Parsha? Someone said last night, Nasa v'nishma would be pretty good two words, right? But in order to reach Nasa v'nishma, all day long, say to yourself, Vayishma Yisrael, Vayishma Yisrael, Vayishma Yitro. Yitro heard it's possible to change, and then Yitro kept on listening to a good story. He was open enough to finding himself in one good story. Vayishma Yitro, Vayishma Yitro, Vayishma Yitro. Everyone, thank you so much for coming. We'll see you here next week, Wednesday night, but every single day you're invited to come back.
Yes,
Yes,
we
of
share
course.
every day at 12:30 in the Shlomo's teachings and Shapiro Shlomo, and we have some guests who actually came from Lubavitch. You heard of Lubavitch, USA? Philadelphia. Philadelphia means Lubavitch, city of brotherly love. Anyway, yeah, welcome everyone. If you haven't had a chance to pray yet, you can either pray Marissa or myself, okay? And please do come learn every day at 12:30. And tomorrow morning is on the week. It's all kinds of classes.
Yeah, and you can also sign up for the newsletter over here where I will be collecting 20 shekels.